I think that good music, you just got to keep pushing and pushing, and it might take longer to get it out there, but
Mhm.
it's the good news is there's not really in the music industry, it's not really like a straight path. It's like there are things that people do, but I think that you kind of have to be open to trying different things.
Hi, Tara. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I appreciate you doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. My name's Adam, and this is about you and your journey in music. And we'll talk about the new song that you just released.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Oh, I think James is here. Hang on.
Is James here?
Yeah, he just popped in.
Hi, James.
He's still joining. Hang on a second.
Yeah. Hi, James.
Hi, James.
Hey.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So, first off, where were you born and raised?
I was in Toronto, Ontario.
Toronto, Ontario. What was it like growing up there? Cold?
It was cold, yeah. Hence the move to California. No, it was amazing. I loved it. But yeah, we get cold winters. Where are you from originally?
San Diego, California.
Okay. So yeah, you hardly see snow except for this.
Right. Yeah. And then I moved to Nashville about almost 3 years ago, and there's snow here, but this last winter, I think we got one snow day, and it was like
Yeah.
this much. So
Yeah. You know what? San Diego got snow this year too, because we have relatives there and they're like, it's snowing. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh wow, yeah. My parents
Yeah.
are still there. I guess they must have seen some of it. When I lived there, it snowed like one time. I remember it was on Valentine's Day, like in the mid '90s, and I remember it like it would melt before it even hit the ground, but it was like, so minuscule, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Wow. So okay, so Toronto, Canada. And what about music? How did you get into music? Do you come from musical household, anything like that?
I kind of do. Like my dad used to play drums back in the day, but then he met my mom and kind of gave that up.
Sure.
But yeah, and my grandfather was really musical, and so when I was really, really young, he taught me how to play the piano, and I guess they just saw that I loved it, and I was the first child, I guess, of so I got a lot of attention. And so I guess that's kind of where it started. They saw that I really gravitated towards it, and my parents would kind of throw me into lessons and to kind of keep me out of trouble because I guess I ran around a lot,
Mhm.
and that's where it started. Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously, I mean, you've done acting and musical theater and all of that. Was that something that
Yeah.
you were drawn to as a kid as well?
Yeah, I think you're being creative in different ways. So I think I just really loved, like, acting is completely different from writing a song. And when you're on the stage, when you're doing 8 shows a week, is completely different than when you're in the studio. It's all amazing, just different. It's a different, using different parts of your, I don't know, your brain, your creativity, and it's an outlet. So
100%. When
yeah.
were you writing songs in school or not?
Yeah, I was, but I didn't even know that I was doing it. It was just a way of how I dealt with whatever's happening in my life. I would just write in a journal and then turn it into a song and then be like, oh, I'm writing songs. And I go back now and look at a song like you were 10 and you wrote it for your cat or something, and you're like,
Right.
oh my gosh. I said, what? But I guess that's the way that I was expressing myself. So
Uh-huh. And were you like, at what did you realize you're writing songs that, later down the line were like, oh, I should show people these, or was it just kind of something you did instinctually?
yeah, I think it got to a point where my dad he knew people in the music industry. And so he's like, I don't really know what to do. Like he's like, do I get an agent? Do I like, well, what do we do here? And he asked some people their thoughts. And then I got connected with different people and it just kind of snowballed from there. And I had some amazing mentors and then really got to know like, oh, this is when you're writing a verse and a pre-chorus and a chorus. And now it's kind of different too with writing because it's everything goes. You can kind of, start with the pre-chorus, end with the verse.
Yeah, there's no real
It,
formula or structure anymore.
no, 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 but it was an amazing way for me to learn, kind of like as you're doing it in the studio,
Mhm.
what,
Were you
how,
fairly young when you had your first experience, recording in a studio?
Yeah, I think so. I was. I don't even remember. I was doing voiceover work before I was even like in the studio singing. I kind of
Oh,
felt
okay.
that really just like, oh, this is really fun. And it's just have to listen, take direction and do that. So yeah.
So you were acting then young as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what, yeah, what did that all kind of happen at the same time? I mean, you did like Hairspray, but you've also been on, Kung Fu Panda and like all these different things. Was that something that like with acting, was that something that was you're kind of pursuing more so, and then music kind of came in and out? Like how did your career kind of move forward?
Yeah, I didn't have a plan at that time. I just wanted to do anything. I just was like, I love this so much. Like, what can I do? And so when I got an agent, they just got me auditions. And so I would get either voice work or acting roles, and I would kind of do all of it. And I did, there's a theater company here called the Stratford Festival of Canada.
Uh-huh.
I did that quite young, and that kind of opened my eyes to so many different things, and I kind of got a little more focused. This is what I really want to do. And then from there I got Hairspray in Toronto, and then from there I got Broadway, and that's kind of what took me to New York, and then yeah, Los Angeles, and now like I go back and forth. So
Wow, that must
yeah,
have been so like such obviously getting Broadway. I mean, what was that like? Like
it was crazy. I know my agent called, she was screaming running up and down the hall apparently at the agency. She yeah, everyone was so excited because it was something I think you always think about, but I wasn't at the time like, oh my gosh. I remember a producer who, she's recently passed away. She was one of the main producers of Hairspray, and she was amazing. And she said to me at our very last performance in Toronto, she says, we're going to see you really soon in New York. And I was like, whatever, like everyone says that,
right.
and I was excited, but then when we got the call, I was like, this is crazy. She actually meant it. That's cool. So Margot Lyon was her name, and she was just such a force in New York with a lot of production. So
Did you do Hairspray for a while?
I did the Toronto production, I did the tour, I did New York, and then it came up for the Hollywood Bowl. I was living in Los Angeles, and the team came out, they did auditions, and I was like, oh, they're looking for names. I'm not, it's not gonna, and it happened. It was incredible. It was so fun.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that must have been wild to not only do that show, but do it at the Hollywood Bowl and have the people surrounding you. I mean, some big
Yeah,
names, on the stage
crazy.
there with you.
So fun, and everyone was so fun. It was such a quick rehearsal too, that everyone was just, you really had to lean on each other and be like, what do you need, what can I, because most of the cast had already done the show, and there was a lot of people who came in, like Drew Carey hadn't done it, John Stamos, Nick Jonas, like they had not done the show. So everyone is kind of like surrounding everyone, being like, what can we do, what can we help? And everyone worked really, really hard, because it's a quick, you're rehearsing for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you do 3 shows and that's it.
Oh my
So
gosh. Yeah, that's fast.
yeah.
At
Yeah.
least you had the kind of you had already done it, right? So you kind of knew the lay of the show and the how the parts go and everything else.
Yeah, it was different though, because every role, like everyone brings something a little different to the role. So it felt like a
Oh, okay.
completely new show. And also 18,000 people for me, I was so nervous.
I bet.
I tried everything. I think I did some kind of like shiatsu massage, like anything I could to like just, I've never performed in front of 18,000 people. It's different for, yeah, it was crazy.
Because
It was
Broadway is fairly small. I've never been to a Broadway show, but like the rooms are fairly small, right?
They are, I mean, some of them, because they're old theaters, they're only,
Yeah.
still a big audience, but you also can't see like the lights. You can see past like the third row. You can't see anyone. So
Uh-huh.
you can kind of do your job and not be as nervous. You're in the moment, you're acting in the scene. The Hollywood Bowl is a different thing, because the lights it hasn't gone dark yet. So you can see everyone all the way
All the
up.
way out,
Yeah.
18,000.
Yeah. And it was crazy because it's different than doing New York, where you get laughs, but when Nick Jonas would walk on stage, girls would scream, and so you have to hold for your, I'm like, okay,
Oh yeah.
until I say my line, let them,
Go nuts for
go crazy.
30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. With like obviously Broadway and doing Hairspray and those things, you're not, I mean, I've talked to artists. It's definitely a different part of your brain because you're not like writing. It's a different type of creativity. Like when you're doing that, because you already have the lines that you need to say. Like you're not
Yeah.
writing out your own stuff. Like were you still juggling like your own songwriting at that time, or obviously you're probably pretty hyper focused on just doing the show and doing well at that. But were
Yeah.
you able to still write it all or not really?
Yeah, I tried. It was difficult. Like when you do 8 shows, it's hard to do anything else. And just
Right.
locally too, depending on the demands of the show, it's hard. But on my days off, I do shows in New York and spend my days constantly. Sometimes I get more creative when I'm super, super busy. I don't know how you are when you have so much on the go, you just get extra fueled and you get so much done versus when you're
Yeah.
like, oh, my calendar's open. I'm going to, just I'll do
Yeah,
that tomorrow.
same for me. It's like if there's a million, I was on the radio for a long time, like, almost 2 decades. And it was like, if it was the phone lines are ringing, I got a million things to do. Like I felt like my brain was firing off and I'm like, okay, I can do this. I thought this creative thing to say or do and this. But like when it was slow, it was like almost like, like
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like I had to force something to say or whatever, like, but when there's a million things happening in front of me, my brain works the same way. I was like, okay, now like I just started I had like if I'm overstimulated, it was like I was more creative.
Yeah. And that's exactly how like I felt like I got more done when I was doing 5 million things. You were tired, but it was a good tired. You were like,
Right.
no, this was good. I'm being
A
creative.
productive tired. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When did you start putting out songs on your I mean, I'm just off your Spotify, you put a song out in like 2012. Like
Yeah.
were you pursuing a career as like a musician at that point, or you were still doing kind of both?
I was doing both. I don't think I ever stopped doing like one or the other, constantly auditioning. Sometimes you have to only do one at one
Right.
time. You can't really do, it's hard. But yeah, I was putting up music and writing, and then I had had different management, and they introduced me to different people, and then put out Prettiest Girl in the Room, which was like my first song that did really well on radio. And that took me, I did like a radio tour, very like,
Wow.
expected kind of thing. Like we put the song out and yeah, it started to get a lot of traction. So that was cool and fun to do.
Yeah, you get to go to the different radio stations and like play in the conference room to like the PD or whoever else.
Yeah,
That
you know
type
how
of
it
thing.
goes. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
They'd be
go
like, all
in.
right, so and so's here. Let everyone to the conference room, and then you get to watch a little acoustic performance.
And for you, it's nerve-wracking because you're like, it's just me and my guitar and everyone's just staring. And you're just like
Right.
literally like 2 feet away from someone eating their lunch. Or yeah, it was
Right.
so fun. Like we did New York, we did iHeartRadio, we did the tour. That was cool. That was fun.
Wow. What was it like having your song on the radio? Like that must have been cool. Like you're driving around and hear it, or
That was cool. And then all the friends that would just text you, and it never gets old. Like I have a Christmas song that comes out every year and gets played on Sirius XM and all the stations. In San Diego, it was #3. Like it got
awesome. Who's playing
like
Kixie?
yeah,
Or-
Kixie. Yeah. I
yeah.
did their like Christmas show there, and it's what's cool is that every year you still get hit up by family and friends. They're like, I'm listening to you right now and I'm shopping, or it just, and my nieces too, just to see them get so excited too when they're like, oh my gosh, that doesn't.
Yeah. That's
So
my aunt. Like, oh wow.
yeah.
I figured it had to be Kixie. They earlier and earlier start playing Christmas songs. Like I feel like because when they play Christmas songs, like if you look at the Nielsen ratings, they're like killing every station. Like there's
Yeah.
no way to even get close to beating them. And so I noticed like I stopped being on the radio in like in 2020 towards 2021. And it was like every year prior to that, if you look at the ratings, it would be like, okay, we're going to start playing them in November now. And it was like, we're going to play right after Thanksgiving. Now it's like November 1st, Christmas songs. And then they just
Yeah.
destroy.
And like, Starbucks, same thing. You walk in, you're like, wait, it's not even Halloween. How do we have Christmas cups? And like everyone's, yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
get people amped up for it.
For me, I'm cool. I'm like, if you want to play the Christmas song and
Yeah, exactly.
that's cool.
Let's do
That's
it.
okay.
After having the success of Prettiest Girl in the Room, like after that, like was the next what was the next kind of like milestone moment for you, or you were kind of in the midst of doing everything at that point, right? With
Yeah,
Kung Fu
yeah.
Panda and Broadway and all that stuff.
Yeah, I did a show too. It didn't end up going to New York. I think they're still trying to, but we did a tryout in Chicago called First Wives Club based on the movie.
Oh wow.
And that was a lot of fun. We workshopped that in New York, and then we went to Chicago, and that was such a fun show. That was Paramount. I think Paramount was the first time that they did a musical or were behind a musical.
Mhm.
So that was fun. We did that, got to be in New York, but it was wintertime, so that was, in
Cold.
Chicago.
Used to the cold.
But it was fun. Yeah, and then kept at the same time kept releasing music and doing voiceovers and just kind of doing everything. So I guess not that I get bored easily, but I like to tried different things. So
Yeah. And so you have a new song out, and it had a massive moment on TikTok with Waking Up in California.
yeah, yeah.
So you put the song out. What was that like? Like, kind of give me the background of the song, and then how it was when all that, took off.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fun song. It was a different song prior to us recording it. I had to go through different versions of it to get to where it is. It took me a while. Sometimes they come really quickly. That one took a while to kind of get to the point where I was really excited to put it out.
Oh, okay. So
Um,
you had a version, and what brought it to a producer or something like? So you wrote the
yeah,
song, and then
yeah,
okay.
I wrote the song with a friend of mine, and then I took it to Garen, who I've used on some other songs, and I was like, "This is the idea. This is the sound." He's like, "Cool, cool." And then we went in and this, you have the version now that we did, and that was a lot of fun. It was cool. It was very organic. Everything happened just cool. Then it went out, and you never know with the song, right? Like you put it
Mhm.
out like anything. You put it out, and you're like, okay, fingers crossed. Like I hope people like it. And there's so much music being released too every week. I think it's something, the stat is like 70,000 new songs are uploaded on Spotify, I believe, a week. I don't know if I'm
I think it's even way more than that, and I think it's
okay.
like daily. Yeah, it's like some
Okay, now I'm depressed.
insane. No, no,
No.
no. It's like I want to. Yeah, I think it's in the hundreds of thousands, like a
Yeah.
day. It's so crazy.
It's nuts. And I know that they're going through and they're taking out, I saw that there's a whole bunch of like AI songs that they just kind of took down too, because people were posting, and I don't know if that, but anyway, there's a lot of
Yeah,
music.
they're like making AI like weekend songs that are like sound exactly like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's such a like there's such a positive, and I guess depends on how you look at it. For an artist coming out and putting music out, you're like, wait, how do I make noise? How do I get my song? You could have an amazing song, and then trying to get it out there for people, especially with like attention spans are so quick on TikTok. You got to like get something out there. I don't know about you, but when I go on TikTok, I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so much coming at me,
Yeah,
and you're just overwhelmed. So I can't imagine, people listening to music. It's a different world right now when it comes to putting out music and
yeah.
writing a
What's
song.
gonna cut through? And yeah, there's so. I just looked it up because I'm curious now. 120,000 tracks per day on average.
No way, no way.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was the stat I last heard. This is probably like last week, was 70,000 every Friday, every New Music Friday. But this is even more.
Yeah,
Um,
this is just going off of like I'm looking at like Billboard from 2022. It was in 2022 it was average of 49,000 a day, but now it's up to oh my gosh, like 120,000 per day. Like that's yeah, how do you cut through that? I mean, obviously you did. That's crazy though.
It's great. I think that good music, you just got to keep pushing and pushing, and it might take longer to get it out there, but
Mhm.
it's the good news is there's not really, in the music industry, it's not really like a straight path. It's like there are things that people do, but I think that you kind of have to be open to trying different things, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Doing
So
shows too. So
yeah, with Waking Up in California, were you like tell me about the video and how it went viral and all or what that was like?
the video came we usually I'm part of the creative idea for every, like with the video from the ground up, and this was the
Yeah.
first time that someone came in and pitched us this idea, and I was like, let's do it. And I had no idea. I just showed up and was like, okay, what are we doing? Where are we going? Okay, I'm driving an old car. Great. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That was so fun. And Bill was our director, Bill Molt. He was incredible and had this vision, this idea, a great crew. And we just spent one day and shot this video of me driving through California, hitting all the iconic spots that I go to and that people know. The car did break down at one point, right?
Oh, really?
We were supposed to go and do like the very last beautiful sunset. You know, we're racing with the sun going down, and we over, and the car just stopped. And Bill, who's the director, he was also a veteran in the war, and he knew how to fix cars. So he literally said, hang on, I need a hammer. We have it on camera too. He's like, give me a hammer. I think it's a starter. He gets under the car. He starts hitting the car, and the car starts. And literally we were just like, okay, let's go. Don't ever turn the car off. So for the rest of the shoot, the car stayed on.
Just ran. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Let me just smash it with a hammer and see what happens.
I know. I don't know if I should be, hopefully the place where they rented the car won't, but it was an old car.
He got it to run. So they should be happy.
Yeah.
You should send him a bill.
It was a fun shoot. It was a lot of fun.
That is so cool. And right now, are you doing more voiceover stuff? Like, are you doing writing more music, putting out more music, doing everything? Like, what do you have happening right now?
Yeah. I'm in pre-production for a show. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what it is, but that we're shooting in October. And I also am a co-creator, executive producer on a pilot on this comedy that we did with Gilbert Gottfried before he passed away.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, he was incredible. He was part of our project. And right now we're in the works, like we're kind of getting feedback, shopping it around. So hopefully that will it's a comedy. And
he's a legend.
Yeah, he was amazing. So it was really fun to I'm not sure if our project was the last thing he did before he passed, but we were very lucky to have him on board for a short time. And so that is something that's there's a writer's strike right now that's happening. So I'm not, a lot of us are really respecting that, and I support it 100%. So we're, kind of not full.
Sure.
Yeah. But in terms of like, I'm still doing voiceover work, and that's the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. And then writing, that's always, I should be doing that every single day. And sometimes you get caught up with a lot of other stuff. And but that's something I should have a song soon. It's brewing, it's coming, it's summertime. So I'm like trying to balance and have fun and see family and keep things going as well. So that was my long answer to you.
That's a beautiful answer. Well, thank you so much, Tara, for doing this. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. It was really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I have one more quick question before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so much. Where do you start? I think the first thing is just to keep putting out music. I think writing it and putting it out there as much as you like, not holding on to a song and waiting until it's perfect, just putting music out there. I could write a book on it, but I think also never to give up. That's another really, never giving up and keep pushing through. Bringing it back.